is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Whiskey Hour. We have a great show lined up for you here today. We're going to be doing a band called Love here. We're going to bring them on stage here in just a minute. But before we get started, I got to introduce my main man, Jay McLovin, here to the show. Jay, we just got off a show 20 minutes ago. What the hell are we doing back here? What's going on, brother?
You know, Logan, a lot of people don't know this, so I'm just going to put this out there. Today, Friday, the 23rd day of May, is National Babyface Day.
Oh, yeah?
And
is it?
We just like to showcase Logan twice in one show because we like to showcase our own personal network's babyface.
Well, Jay, I appreciate the love and support. And if you guys love and support the show, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, Twitter, TikTok, wherever the hell you see on the screen here, or anywhere else you can find us here. Just type in ESEN Network. And Jay, if you're feeling tired, feel a little sluggish today, let the folks at home know how they can get a little pick-me-up here on this Friday, going into this Memorial Day weekend.
Tell you, Logan, there were times in my life at 52 years of age. My wife is a little younger than me. She got a little pep in her step. I didn't have that pep in my step. So I used to do all kinds of crazy stuff to try to get that pep back. The problem is I look like Parkinson's going down the road. I was so jittery, it was all over the place. So what I did was I got some dubby.
Did you? Okay.
Now I got energy like a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Did I say schoolgirl? I meant 13-year-old school boy. And but I don't have the jitters.
Yeah.
Jitters. And it's and you get 10% off just by using ESEN promo code.
I'm about to say, Jay, you see the flavor? They got s'mores flavor now, Jay. We're getting
s'mores.
Campfire. Get around the bonfire, drink you some dubby, and get that jitterless energy here going into the weekend, going into your Memorial Day, and into the summer. Well, Jay, enough chitter-chat. Let's bring them on the show here, Jay. Let's bring on the boys from a band called Love. Welcome, everyone, to Ryan Chandler Love. We got Ian, Joshua Riley, and Brooks Roberts here with us here today. 3 of the 5 members of the band. Guys, how you doing on this Friday?
Dude, we're good.
Amazing.
It's the weather's great here. We're in Northeast Georgia, so it's a balmy, like 80 degrees right now? Something like that. It's getting into summer.
It's dry. It's not humid right now.
Yeah. You know, that's the metric for how good we're doing is how warm it is outside.
And that's how boring of a band we are. We're going to talk about the weather.
So how's the weather today, guys? Let's talk about the humidity up here.
That's all we're good for is just our music. Our music shows that too. You'll listen to it. It sounds like what?
Please don't ask really big, thought-provoking questions. I will start crying and just crumble like a cheap lawn chair. I will fold is what I'll do.
Fold. All right, well, Jay, start Xing out questions here, man. I know you have those long run-on sentences and stuff for your questions you got wrote down, so time to start doing some scribbling.
But yeah, no, we're doing good. To answer the question correctly, we're doing real good. How are y'all doing?
Oh, don't get correct now because this show is built on straight incorrectness. So
Good to know.
Listen, I hate people that use commas. Hell with it. Just keep talking.
Just the punch.
I like that as a metric for just assessing. I don't like people who use commas. They're not like just
I don't trust those people.
I don't trust people that slow their thoughts.
Are we talking about like an Oxford comma? Or
any comma, I think.
Any of
that
them.
Oxford comma.
Dude, that's
No, not any. We don't like anything that's English related. We like an American. We want American. And if you can get a redneck comma in there, you get my maximum votes.
What is a redneck?
What is a redneck comma?
What
constitutes a redneck comma?
A redneck comma is one that shouldn't be there, but we just do it there for the hell of it. No, it connects 2 irrational thoughts. That's a redneck comma. Don't get me about it because then my wife is from West Virginia, so that just needs to be all that. That's just all it needs to be said on that.
You should know this then because you're from North Georgia.
I'm from the boonies of North Georgia, so So Mr. McLovin and I are connected. We're as they say.
My wife's family really honestly will find all 1,000 uses for duct tape. Some of them legal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome.
Oh, man. All right, well, guys, let's go and get into it. Let's just talk about yourself, talk about your band. We'll just go with Ryan here first. So, Ryan, just talk about your position in the band and just how everything got started. We know you guys got going back in COVID in 2020, and you guys been doing a great job ever since. So, just kind of go around the table here, talk about all of y'all's positions in the band.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Kind words. But yeah, my name's Ryan Love. I sing and play a few different instruments in a band called Love, and one of the principal songwriters. And Ian and I kind of started this back in 2019. Really, when everything kind of
we launched it in 2020.
Yeah, we launched everything in 2020, but in 2019 we kind of had the conversation of like, hey, I'd taken a really long break from being in the whole music world and everything, and I was just like, hey, I kind of want to do something again. And he's the person to talk to. I'll kind of let him go from there.
Yeah. Honestly. So like, I guess a good way of trying to abridge that is like, he and I had played in the Atlanta music scene. I mean, basically since we were teenagers, and like we're in our early 30s now, but Ryan played in this band that I really loved, and then he just kind of got out of music for a little bit, and that we'll talk about that with one of the songs that actually pertains to one of the first songs I showed you, I think. But like, yeah, he was in this relationship, and I didn't kind of hear from him for a few years, and then when he came back and just got out of that situation, he was like, he's like, I want to do music for real. Let's try to start a project. And I was producing records full time at this studio two studios in Atlanta, one called Glow in the Dark Studios and another one at Toast and Jam Studio. And I was just kind of like, I had kind of also gotten out of the band thing because I had been in a band with some of my close friends who, and our singer had passed away. So I was just kind of like in a place where I was just like, I was really like I wasn't sure if I was ever going to do the band thing again, but I started producing records full time and just kind of making that my profession. And then I started like just kind of touring on bass for a few different bands. And the season was just like perfect timing for me and him to just kind of like reconnect. And he was like, hey, we should like do this. And at first it was going to be a solo project of his. And then it kind of morphed and turned into the band that was me and him originally, and then expanded to include like Brooks and Blake and Austin. And it was just cool because it's like, it was a very organic thing, but it was also like very calculated. Like everything we've done has been very deliberate and intentional. So that's kind of why we've been a band for a few years, but we don't have a debut EP yet. Like we've been sitting on some music that we're excited to be rolling out. But in the intro, I'm Ian Joshua Riley. I play lead guitar in a band called Love, among many other instruments, and I'm also one of the principal songwriters. And I produce the music with Ryan and the guys. And and then Books.
That's an inside joke. We might get into that. We might not. I'll actually do my intro right, Ian. My name's Brooks Roberts. I got into this band and really the scene really late in my life because I grew up in North Georgia. I'm from Baldwin, Georgia. Have you heard of it? Of course not. There was never any scene. My great-grandmother was a traveling bluegrass musician. She actually passed away on the way to a gig when I was really young. And my grandfather played anything with strings. My dad played music. My uncle played music. My mom was on the drum line. So music just runs in my blood. And I started playing when I was like 11 years old. And I started with guitar and then got on bass. And I played drums too. So I know how to play a lot of things, but bass is like that. I'm a bassist. I play guitar. I can play drums, but I'm a bassist through and through. And then I got hooked up into church music as one does in the South. Our faith is very important to all three of us. But like that's where I cut my teeth is in church, and I didn't start doing it professionally until like 2016, March of 2016 specifically.
Makes you a good musician. It gets your reps in.
Absolutely, it will make you like playing in church and doing that the whole thing. It'll make you an amazing musician. And then I literally just kept doing it. I realized I'm very lucky to realize in my life my purpose on this earth is to play music and to be a musician in one way, shape, or form. And then like I just kept doing it. I just kept sticking to it and kept my head down and kept pursuing it. And then these guys fell into my life, long story short, and the rest is kind of history. Like we're all best friends and like we've lived lives. Like I'm the youngest in the band. I'll be 30 next year. And they've got kids and they're married and everything, and like that hasn't happened to me. yet, but
he's looking. So if you're single, ladies,
don't even.
Yeah,
I'll get in so much trouble.
He's not single.
Hey, he's spoken for. He's spoken for. We're all spoken for.
She's a wonderful, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But for me, like, these guys are my best friends. Like, and I can go into more of that later. But generally speaking, I started playing music young. Didn't have a scene. My friend's band, Under the Weather or High Thread Count, was like my first inspiration of like, oh, well, this is actually possible outside of like church. Yeah. Then these guys fell into my life, and the rest is history. So that's basically a TLDR of my introduction.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take the mic.
And I mainly play bass for the band. I'm the bassist, so I don't really matter all that much.
That is so false.
But like, I'll aid in the songwriting process.
He'll play some guitar too.
Yeah, sometimes. But these guys' brains are just out of this world when it comes to music and production and composition, and they are my heroes in a way. But yeah, that's about it for me.
I love you, Bubby.
We love you too, man. We, not me included, but like we as a I specifically don't.
Give me.
Oh, there we go.
They're sweet. They're sweet boys.
It's kind of cool how it all came together because like we Ryan and I, when we started, we were definitely of the mindset that like, because we were so serious with it and because of like kind of the vision we had for it, and it was very specific, we were like, we didn't think we could get anyone. I've said this before in other interviews, but I mean it every time. Like, we didn't think we could get anyone to care about like our baby as much as we do. So we were like, we'll just be like Tears for Fears. We'll be a 2-piece and we'll just contract live musicians who are our buds. You know what I mean? But and we had a good host of people for the first couple shows. But I mean, by show number 3, Brooks was with us. Blake, our guitarist, was with us. He was on drums originally. He's an amazing like world-class drummer. And then Austin, our drummer. He's like the music director at this church. The studio we're in is set up at the church. Like, we built this in here, like in the studio, in the church that we work at. And he's just like, Austin's like the most underrated drummer in Georgia. And all of them kind of separately told us in their own way, individual from each other, that they were like, hey, this is my band too. And I want
the first
ownership.
one to get the tattoo.
He has an ABCL tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Let me get you here. There it is.
That just says ABCL. Times New Roman font, excellent font, great
like
font.
every one of them did something to kind of like say to us, like, not even force their way in, but just say, we have a degree of ownership here, and we care about this thing as much as you do. So if you'll allow us, we want to be more than just like live members. And it was such a huge like I'm not trying to be like Christianese or anything. I mean, it was a huge blessing because we didn't think we could ever ask that of anyone. And it was great because like Brooks is the newest person in this band in my life, but I've known him for like half a decade now. And he's one of my best friends in the world. But like Blake, who plays guitar for us, like we played the very first shows that each of us played in our different respective bands was the same show. And we were like 13, 14, 15. And then Austin, I've known since I was in college. He replaced the singer I mentioned in my old band, 10th Row, who passed away. That dude played drums in this other indie band. And then Austin, our drummer, like over 10 years ago, replaced him in that band. And so it was kind of like, the scene here is really cool and eclectic. I think Atlanta is the best music scene in the world. I maintain that until the day I die.
Agreed.
But it's very incestuous. So we kind of just found this like organic, like natural way into being in this band. And all it took was Ryan and I just kind of establishing this is the vision. And then the guys just kind of found their way to us. And we were like, okay, we're going to do this for real in our early 30s with families and kids. Let's stick it out for the long haul.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That was smart.
Yeah, you know. So that's the brief oral history of the band.
I'd say, Jay, I know you've got probably about 50 just band tattoos on your entire body. I think you can find some room for one more, right?
Yeah.
Let me get you here. Hold on.
I don't know.
There we go.
Now here's the deal. Now here's the deal. This sleeve is a legit 15-year sleeve. Actually, it's probably about 20-year sleeve if you count the Grateful Dead. Because I met Jerry Garcia before he died in Japan, and a very small bar that only had about 10 people in it. And Jerry played a few songs in there, and then he passed out and left. But all of these, like I got Chris Cornell. You can see.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh my God.
Where's it at, Logan? Where's it at?
Where's it at?
There it is. There it is. You can't see it, but it's right here. So that's Chris Cornell. That's Aaron Lewis. Chester Bennington.
Oh my God.
I got Scott Weiland, a bunch more. And I got all of these tattoos. I've always gotten them either A, in their dressing room or B, at their hotel. And all my tattoos are legit Sharpied tattoos that I tattooed over.
Yeah. So we're gonna be the next ones, is what I'm hearing.
That's what I would love to hear.
Hey,
maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Hey, well, hell yeah, you keep plugging at it.
When we get there and graduate to favorite band status for people, then yeah, absolutely.
That's so sick.
Yeah, we need more albums though. We only have singles right now.
You and I, Jay, our music taste overlaps a ton because I noticed the Chili Peppers and the Foo Fighters, like they're two of my favorite bands. I wouldn't be a band.
And Linkin Park for all of us.
You can't see it real good, but
yeah.
If you can see this, if you see this blue tattoo right here, that's Jerry Cantrell. That's Jerry Cantrell. In his tour bus. Don't have
awesome.
What he would have had to do to get these tattoos.
I maintain what I said about the Atlanta music scene. One of the first shows I went to with my stepdad was to see Alice in Chains, Deftones, and Mastodon in 2010 on the Black Diamond Sky tour. And their singer, who, and you can never fully replace Lane Staley, but their singer who sings with the Now Since Black Gives Way to Blue, William Duvall. He is from here, and he's an amazing big hand in the local music scene in Atlanta. Yep. And people don't know that a lot of the time. They think, oh yeah, that's the guy who sounds like Lane Staley. But no,
he doesn't sound anything like Lane Staley.
I think he sounds like himself.
If anybody ever tells you that William Duvall sounds like Lane
I agree with you.
You tell them that you've never listened to Alice in Chains.
No, seriously, when I was at that,
nobody can do it well. When I was at that show, I heard people. We were on the lawn, and I heard that was like 17. We heard people on the lawn, and they were drunk, but like they were like, it was somebody. There was like, he sounds just like the old guy, dude. And I was like, no, he doesn't, but he sounds really good. He sounds like him. I love William Duvall. I think he's incredible. Here's my thing. There are two bands that are currently in existence. One band did it correctly after their lead singer died. The other one dropped the bag. Lane Staley or Alice in Chains did it correctly because you notice when William Duvall came in and Black Gives Way to Blue came out, number one, the fact that Elton John was on that playing the piano was phenomenal. Number two, if you notice everything that William Duvall, when he came in, every band from Black Gives Way to Blue to now is nothing like what was before that. They were completely different style. In writing and everything. They did it correctly. They rebranded Alice in Chains with the new singer. Linkin Park.
I knew you were going to say it. I respectfully disagree because I do like From Zero and I like what they did with Colin and Emily. But at the same time, I will agree with you that there is not a single human on earth who could have ever replaced Chester at all. And the fact, and I love Colin. I actually I have a weird internet history with Colin, their current drummer, just because we're both producers and like I just met him through the internet for a while. It's crazy that he wanted to join Linkin Park because I think his production and kind of what he did for the band on this new record is really cool. And I like what they were doing, but at the same time, I love the gradual evolution of Linkin Park. And I feel like From Zero in a way was trying to almost recapture and resell what Linkin Park has been since the beginning. And I didn't think they need to do that. I think they could have just continued evolving, but I understand why they so to your point, while I respectfully disagree, I think, you could have like rebranded what Linkin Park was instead of trying to just, pay homage to it with a singer who sounds sort of like Chester. But I want to go on record saying I do love the new Linkin Park record. But I get where you're coming from, and I do think I do agree that it's different than the way Alice in Chains did it, and I think Alice in Chains did it more classily, in my opinion. No offense to Linkin Park, I love Mike Shinoda. That's the thing. Is like I pretty much.
I love Mike Shinoda too.
If he does anything
all day long, but if I don't like what you did, I don't like what you did.
That makes sense.
I just don't see her fit in that band.
She got
our different opinions.
No, especially because she came from a punk band too, so it's like no shade to her whatsoever. But I understand why people aren't, because that's the thing is I think ultimately, and this speaks to I think a lot of how we feel about our band. I think any lineup change when it's a band that has a really solid identity, be it by virtue of unfortunate circumstances like someone dying, or essentially just bad blood between people. If you have a chemistry, Chris Martin from Coldplay, I don't know how y'all feel on Coldplay, but I agree with this sentiment. He always says, if you have that chemistry between members, that is what people are coming to see. It doesn't matter if you're virtuosos or if you're the best at what you do individually or whatever. Like the people are coming to see those songs and that chemistry with those people, so you don't mess with that. And that is our philosophy with our band. Is when we expanded to include the other guys, we were there's the when we made the proposal to them, if you will, like we literally got down on one knee, or like we were.
They
like,
asked me at somebody else's wedding. By the way.
Technically, yeah, that is true.
So,
but we were like, the idea here is the idea here is no former members on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. We don't want that. We want to our little mantra has been, it's the five of us or none of us. Right. And so to your point though, I feel that I relate to that about, because when you have something that's just a very distilled raw chemistry that you've refined into like a sound that's yours, you can't just replace members, especially not singers. Like it's like we've joked all the time about this guy. We because he's like, he's the star power of our band, but his humility is his superpower, and the band is literally named after him. So besides just that, like if something ever happened to this guy, A Band Called Love is done. Like it wouldn't exist anymore, because the creative, he's not just our singer. You know what I mean? Just like Chester wasn't just Linkin Park's singer, he was a huge part of the musical composition and sound of what the band was. So all that to say, I relate to you 100% in that regard.
Linkin Park was always a weird anomaly because, well, he was the only singer, but the other guy, Mike Shinoda, was more of a rapper. So it's kind of like you had the singer and you had the rapper, and they just formed a band really, really well. And that's why I'd say their style of music was just, you have to rebrand that whole band in order to make it work.
That's what influenced us a lot too. Like, and this is speaking for myself a little bit, but like in my personal music history, my credit to my dad got me into hip hop when I was very young. And my dad's a white dude from Atlanta, Georgia. Like, he was Southern, but he was and he joined the Marines and he went out to California, and he had all these friends who my dad ended up like managing, after he got out of the Marines, he like managed a Champs sporting goods store, and he like met Eazy-E from like NWA and became friends with him, and like went to an after party with like Ice Cube and all this stuff. It was it's crazy stories. Like, his friends corroborated it also. He wasn't just lying to me. But like, it's funny, because my dad was just this dude who got really into hip hop, and like he showed it to me as a kid. Like, he showed me like, Run DMC, NWA, even like Beastie Boys, Tupac, Grandmaster Flash. And what I loved is that he was very intentional about showing me music that he thought, even though he wasn't a musician, he liked music that conveyed an important social message and that also was defying convention. So before I was really into bands, like I got into Foo Fighters and stuff later on when I was like a teen, when I finally picked up guitar, because I learned piano when I was younger. But then it turned into this thing where I realized that hip hop and lyricism and production and sounds, like textures, things happening in the universe of the songs, that was what shaped the kind of bands I love. So what was interesting is, even though I got into like guitar rock by the time I was getting into guitar, my first real favorite band was Linkin Park, because what they did, and Mike has gone on record saying they were never supposed to be a conventional rock band. What they were was fundamentally, this is whatever we decide it is at any given point. We can mix ambient music, hip hop, like rock, metal, indie, like opera, like orchestral elements. Like, they were like, we can do whatever we want. And that just stuck in my brain forever. And that is a fundamental, still explicit guiding principle of A Band Called Love. If people ask us the genre, we're like, I don't know. Like, pop is what people say we are, but like, and I guess they're right, but like,
it's like, what genre are you?
Yeah, it's exactly. Like exactly. Like, we are a band. We are a band.
That's interesting to me, because essentially you said what you just said about Linkin Park, because I do feel exactly the same way Mike described Linkin Park. However, he wasn't the first one to do that. Do you know who the first one that did that was?
Who would you?
If he had to go one more step up in the evolution, and now I might be dating myself, but if you had to go one more step up in the evolution of how that style of band came about, then you really got to go to Queen, and you got to go to Freddie Mercury.
No, you're so right. You're so right, because Queen, Queen defied convention as to what rock bands were like allowed to do. And in my head, no, I'm a massive Queen fan. I feel you. And what I love specifically in the chemistry of Brian May and Freddie was that they were like, oh, like, do we want this to be a song, or do we want this to be an art piece? And they were like, yes, essentially. Like, it was never a question of like, oh, well, this isn't going to sell well. It was just, let's just follow the muse and see what it is, but then let's give it form and shape it. And that's been a huge guiding principle to us. Like, I mean, like, that is the kind of stuff that we love. That's the thing, is we love all kinds of music. Like, truly, we're not, a lot of rock bands that we love, their individual members will like a lot of music, but at the end of the day, they are, and I'm not knocking them. A lot of people just make the art you want to make. You know what I mean? But
yeah, for sure.
Rock bands that we are friends with are guitar rock, and all they listen to is guitar rock, and maybe they listen to some hip hop here and there, but they or some other kinds of music, but they don't really let a lot of them don't let their multiple influences literally influence the art they're creating, because they have this idea of what their band is, and they're like, well, that's not gonna, I would never think to use samples or keys or something on this song, because like that's not what we are. They don't even occur to them. My brain just doesn't work like that, and neither does the guys. Like, it's like we've always kind of been like, oh, we just start making stuff with the computer or with the guitar or keys, and we start. Or me and him will just write like vocal melodies. Sometimes we'll build a whole song around a chorus that just popped in our head, and we'll decide what it is later. But we're like, oh, is this kind of like an orchestral song, or is it kind of like more drum and bass, which is like one of the ones we'll talk about today, which is funny because like we never explicitly sat down to let's write in a band called Love Song. We were just kind of always creating anyway. And that stuff, whatever was naturally, genuinely what we're into making at that point, becomes our music. You know what I mean? Which is what I think is the pure way to do it, in my opinion. Not the right way per se, but you know.
No, I don't know if there's ever really a right or a wrong way to do it. I think because then it's not organic.
Exactly.
I don't like anything that's not organic, because then I don't think it's really truly you.
Exactly.
Music is the one that's organic.
Yeah, like something. We have a friend, and I'm actually wearing their shirt today. But I was listening to Carson Pace from the Callous Boys talk.
Yeah, shout out the Callous Boys.
Yeah, shout out the Callous Boys. But I was listening to Carson Pace talk about something the other day, and he's like the principal songwriter and the frontman for that band. And he was saying basically like you have to prove to yourself that you're a bad songwriter in order to get to the point where you know that you're a good one.
Yeah,
and. But I thought that was really interesting. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. That piggybacks off of it.
Yeah.
And I think, and a lot of like their guiding principle, like the shirt that Ryan's wearing, it says Celebrity Therapist. That's that band's second record. We had the Ryan and I had the Carson and that band are like they're good friends of ours from like they were a local band here, and now they're huge. They just released their third album last week, produced by our friend Don Maduri, who's also works at the studio that we worked at. But Ryan and I had the privilege of working on that record, on that shirt, on the second record, which was their label debut. And what was cool about that experience is I got to see a lot of Carson's a little younger than us, but he's a genius songwriter. Yeah. And the reason I bring him up, or the reason Ryan brings him up, is because he, in a very different realm of music, in way more heavier avant-garde music, he exemplifies kind of what our philosophies are, because the idea is challenge yourself, but also make something that's digestible, that people like equally find the middle ground between not do I write this so people will like it. It's like, is this something I want to listen to as much as it is creatively fulfilling to make it? And what stops am I not pulling out because I think, oh, that's too weird or too left field? And that's what the exercise of that record when we were making that with them was. It's
kind of just like you learn after a point that you've kind of got to let the song write itself. And you've got to get out of your own way. And
I think it shows. Look, guys. If you're making music and you don't like what you're hearing, it's going to show in your performance.
Certainly.
You've never seen a person get passionate on stage or creatively enthusiastic on stage on something that they didn't believe in or like.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's going to show if you don't like it, and that's why I say it's so good to be organic. Because when it's organic, that's you putting yourself on a plate, or you putting yourself in on your CD or whatever. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, going back to Brooks real quick, my wife, she's very big into bluegrass, and matter of fact, her brother, believe it or not, her brother is a Methodist preacher in Missouri, but he has an AC/DC cover band. So it's
that guy rules.
Have you ever heard the Antichrist Devil's Children association with their name laid out?
It's like AC/DC.
I don't know that man what to do. It's not true, but they would associate that with AC.
Yeah.
So that's hilarious. But that is the connection. So,
and the funny thing about it is every once in a while, my wife will take a pilgrimage and she'll go up and see her brother. And when she does, they always sing blue, because that's what they do in their church. They sing bluegrass music, but it's gospel bluegrass.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, so,
and those people, those people are so talented.
Brooks and I musicians are real musicians.
Yeah, no, Brooks and I ran into this redneck guy at Waffle House. Like one time, he was telling us of this crazy story. I forget his name. He worked at the Kroger.
I don't know.
Yeah, but he worked at the Kroger, and he was telling us how he used to he knows Billy Corgan and how he used to tour. Like, he was one of those guys who he had a whole music career, used to tour, and he was just kind of making ends meet, doing And he was just kind of he was telling us all these crazy stories, and then he was telling us how he really found his scene, because he's just from North Georgia originally. He's like 40 something. He was telling us how he really found his scene with the bluegrass musicians of North Georgia, and he made this. He was like trying to say the same. He's like, dude, he's like, you'll go to these bluegrass festivals. He's like, there in North Georgia. He's like, there's not a single one of them that's not inbred. Like they just got. But they play the banjo, and he's like, and they're genius.
I don't know what you were saying. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead. What were we gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say. So my great grandmother's band, her name was Margie Roberts, and their band was called the Meyer Sisters because Margie Meyer was her maiden name. They were the Meyer Sisters. They're all sister, and Lacey, who was their bassist. So they traveled and did that. Like speaking of like the connection, the religious connection to bluegrass and stuff. I have a CD in my car of them, and that's like the only physical piece of like documented music that I have of my great grandmother, and you can hear them, and they have the harmonies and everything, and they're like guitar, banjo, bass.
That's amazing.
Drums, and you can hear them going like, "Cry holy unto the Lord, cry holy unto of the Lord."
It's beautiful. It sounds amazing. Yeah,
holy with those like gospel.
Oh no, bluegrass is really good stuff. Bluegrass, rockabilly. I dig all that stuff.
I've been wanting to I have my brain is just constantly on like cranked up to like 15, so I'm like always have a million ideas. I want to recreate some of those songs acoustically myself and just pay homage to
we were talking about doing that in this studio because he brought his banjo. It's like literally over there.
They have a song. It's like where do the good times? It's like where does the good times? So where does the good times go? And it's like that broken Southern English, but it's so beautiful, and it's very them. It's
authentic and organic. Yeah.
Where does the good times go? Where does the river flow? Like, and their lyrics are, and they're probably covering a song written like decades past. But it's really beautiful to me, and I love everything. I love rock, hip hop, metal, pop, but I also love country and folk and Americana and bluegrass, especially because that's my history.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Students of it. Yeah.
Just so the other day, I always make it a point to listen to the music really heavily before I'll do a show with the band and talk about your music.
Oh, you listen to our music? Okay, cool. Awesome.
And so Logan emailed me y'all songs the other day, and I'm playing. So I'm listening to. I think it was it was the first one now on the Cold Bloom. Cold Bloom. I'm sorry, man.
Colors Bloom. There you go.
There you go. Big goal tech.
Cold brew.
Yeah.
That's so relatable. I have no idea.
Yeah.
He drinks like 14 a day.
I do drink 14 cold brews a day.
Me too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I had it on, and the wife walks in the door, and the first word out of her mouth is, "Jason, I didn't know you listened to gospel music." I said, "Neither did I," but it sounds pretty good.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's crazy.
No, but and I said that to say this. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring that up. I didn't. Some people don't want to. Oh my God, it sounds like God. But it does. It does have and now that I have talked to you guys and gotten to know you a little bit, and obviously you have a very strong faith background. I think it very much shows up in your music. My wife didn't even know what I was listening to. She thought I was listening to church music, and it is.
That's so funny. That's so funny. She said that about that song because that was our first song we released, and that's our only song that has the F word in it. So it was funny.
Pick up the F word.
We did that on purpose because one, we loved the song, but two, because we were like, we need to divorce early on the idea that we are a Christian, even though we are Christians, but we need to we're not a Christian band at all. So we released that one first, that we'd have the explicit tag. That way people would know like right off the bat the CCM.
Off rip,
he dropped the F-bomb. There goes a Christian.
Take it off.
What's so funny about that is like, obviously that's ridiculous, but that's how the contemporary Christian music industry is like that. Like it's like if you have an F-bomb like that, it can never ever exist in that realm. So that was strategic on our part. But it is funny to me that she made that correlation and recognized the influence in the song, because it's the one where it's like he's like Brian's like there's a million reasons I should But go on. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and let's play the Colors Bloom, and then I'd like to come back and then let's get a little bit more into the actual what your sound is and how it comes across, and then we'll go from there.
All right, let's get it going here, guys.
I love this song.
2, 3, 4. I don't mind the way your colors bloom. Plain you're golden, but I can see right through. Paint your pictures, paint them black and blue. I don't mind, 'cause I see colors too. Pack my bags, I won't say a thing. There's a million fucking reasons I should leave this way. I won't cry, this was all in vain. May the seasons come and go and leave us all with change. I don't mind the way my colors bloom. I'm not golden, but I ain't black or blue. Paint my portrait, paint me just like you. Then I realize that I see colors too. Pack my bags, I won't say a thing. There's a million fucking reasons I should leave this way. I won't cry, this was all in vain. May the seasons come and go and leave us all with change. There are seasons where I see colors too. I don't mind the way my colors bloom. There are seasons where I see colors too. I don't mind the way my colors bloom. There are seasons where I see colors too. I don't mind the way my colors bloom. There are seasons where I see colors.
Yeah,
I love that song.
I can't not hear that song. Like, oh
yeah, it's so fun. That's what we close every show with.
Is it weird to be biased and be like, God, I love this band and I love this song? You're in it. Like,
yeah. No, I feel that. Well, and also that one was before you, so I feel like you're justified. Like
halfway, but it's like it's a part
but you
of
play it. Yeah.
But it's so weird to feel those feelings when you hear, because every time I hear that song, I'm like, oh, this band's awesome.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know,
it becomes separate from us at a certain point where like we can just enjoy it, which speaks to what we were saying too earlier. It's like, do we actually want to listen to this? You know what I mean? And that was the first song where we recorded it and we were like, oh, this is like a real thing. Like there's a sound here, you know? But
it does.
Yeah, I'm about to say, y'all mentioned that's a great end to y'all set there. Because I was at y'all show at Moe's Record Shop in Gainesville a couple of weeks ago.
Thank you.
Y'all were the opener out there. And Brooks, I saw you going in the crowd, doing your thing, going crazy out there, man. You're having a good time, and everyone's going crazy for it, man. Like I said, that's a great way to end the set, or even start off, you know, if you want to switch it up.
Yep.
It's just a really good way to get the crowd pumped, ready to go, and you know, just great kind of fan engagement with it too. Just that, like you said, that stage presence you got to have.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And like to both of their credit, like these two are some of the, and I usually get that note from people, but like it works. It helps to be in a band from like with two people and the other guys too, who are like amazing showmen. Like it's like it helps all the energy. Like I don't think there's a single one of us that stands still.
And to your credit, to add to what you're saying, if you ever get the privilege to watch this man play bass on stage, it's one of my like he's so I've seen him in other bands that aren't ours, and he's an animal, and I love it because he's like, and he'll play my guitar sometimes. He'll have it all the way down to my kneecaps. I know Ian plays his bass, and like, but he literally he like thrashes on stage. He's a monster in the best, the highest way I can put it is like he's a beast. Like,
that means a lot. But that's the thing is like being in a band with these guys helps like bring that out because they're all just. I mean, like you said, Brooks got in the crowd, and like Ryan just right in that song. He like at that show you saw him like reel in the crowd for a second. We just did the loop and we taught them the vocal part. You know, we were like we had everyone sing it with us. Like it was just. I'm glad you were at that show. Was that your first time seeing us? That was the first.
That was the first one there.
I'm really glad.
Square,
that might have been our best performance. Like, not our best sound because of just the nature of the venue, but the venue's awesome. But like that was probably our best, like most fun. Like, that was one of the most fun shows I've ever played. I played a million DIY shows.
That was a lot of fun. I couldn't hear myself at all, but like it didn't matter.
It
really didn't matter.
But sometimes those are the best shows, the ones where you're just cramped into a room with 100 people. It was pouring down rain that night because it was a hurricane, I think.
We had never done that. So that was our 15th show ever, and we've only played. It was in the thing I sent you, but like. We've only played, like our first show ever was at the Masquerade in July 2021. And we were playing with two other friends bands who was their first show too, because post-COVID times, like we started these new bands and we were all like, oh, let's play our shows together. So it was like us, a band called Dim, that's not a band anymore, and a band called Glimmers that we're friends with. It was all our first show. And so we were like, let's just put them all together and do that. And just us promoting it like grassroots like that, being like, these are 3 bands' first new show. And then we had 2 openers for that, like a 5-band bill.
Okay.
We sold out that show, like our very first show ever. And it was so cool. And basically that trend has continued where most of the shows we played have been like masquerade shows or stuff like that, where we're either like playing or we're opening for a much bigger band than us that has our friends in it or something. And it sells out. So we hadn't actually had the opportunity to play like a proper DIY gig like that, where we're playing on a floor with like a small sweaty room, 100 people. And doing that, and we've all done our fair share of that, like in other bands. But man, doing it at that particular show and closing with Colors Bloom really taught us like, oh, like there's an energy here that we're bringing that they're recognizing and they're matching our energy. They're not just standing there like bobbing their heads. Right. And that meant a lot to kind of like see that like face to face with the crowd instead of like from a stage with lights and in-ears and everything. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, you gotta get that satisfaction up close and personal. I mean, literally, you could reach your arm out and touch someone. That's how close.
That's great. It's very intimate.
Very much.
With the audience is like, especially in a DIY.
Is
in a DIY environment is extremely important to me and to us and to to everything.
It makes people feel part of the show. That's what we want. We don't want them to just stand there and watch us. We don't care about that. It's not about us. Like I want it to be this big moment that we're helping to make it happen, but everyone's like doing things. I'm not saying that to sound like hippie or like kumbaya, but I mean that's what makes it your favorite shows that you will remember forever are those, not the ones where you just stand and watch the guy shred. You know what I mean? Or maybe you will remember that, but like I feel like the best ones are the ones where you get to be part of it with part of the song with the band. You know what I mean?
So it's interesting. The one thing I find that is interesting about you guys is, and I got a couple of questions about this. Number one, you all play, you all can sing. Everybody has vocals, right? Everybody does. A lot of y'all, or everybody plays guitar. Everybody plays the drums for the most part, except for Brooks.
Yeah, he plays drums too.
The drums.
Okay.
I'm the only.
It doesn't say drums, and it doesn't say keyboard.
He doesn't really play drums in a band called Love, but he's actually a drummer too. I'm the only.
I'm just going with what you guys had put in the email. So in terms of what people, the slander.
I sent him misinformation.
Yeah.
You probably told him.
Hey, you blame Ian. Don't come blaming us. Blame Ian.
Yeah, exactly. Brooks was like he probably told y'all I have hair too. Brooks Roberts like takes vocals hair.
Yeah.
horrific.
But here's a question I have for you guys. So all of you guys could kind of sort of interchange spots in the band if you had to, because you all kind of do the same thing.
Mhm.
How does that come about with the writing process? Because I got to imagine, if you know how to play guitar, so I mean, you kind of know certain things, but all you guys know each other's things. How does the whole process of writing music come together? Because you all understand each other's instruments. So I'm kind of curious how the writing process goes when everybody knows everybody's types of instruments.
I can answer that in a way that I think I can use an example from today. So before we hopped on, Ryan was showing us, he was playing back a track that we were working on yesterday that he was recording vocals over before we got here. So Brooks and I were like on our way here. And a new song we were working on was just something Ryan basically wrote from the ground up. Like he wrote the drum part, programmed it in Logic, and then he wrote the guitar, the bass, and everything for it originally. And then he and I worked on like the lyrics together for it. And then at some point, like a month or two ago, when we were like first like bringing the idea to life before there were lyrics or vocals, Brooks came in and he tracked bass on it because we were like, we need Brooks's like sensibilities. Yeah. All of us can play bass, but he's a bassist. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, he threw bass on it, and then our other guitarist Blake, who can play anything, but he's like a better guitarist than I am, like in terms of skill. He just tracked a bluesy solo on it, and it was really cool. And I didn't write, I'm the lead guitarist of the band. I didn't write any guitar on the song. I tracked none of it. And like Austin, our drummer's not even on it yet, but I wrote like the lyrics with Ryan. And so the reason I bring up that illustration of like that song and like kind of like the people who did what on it and the people and what we didn't do on it is to say kind of like what I mentioned earlier, we're always writing. And there's really no limits. We don't write really in a room as a band. We've only had like one or two songs where we've like kind of jammed the idea to try to like form it like a band. But a lot of it stems from the way Ryan and I started the band, which is he and I will start writing a song, whatever that looks like. And then we'll start recording as much of it as we can to articulate the idea, because we record everything ourselves and we produce it and engineer with our friend Corey Batista. Shout out Corey. And he mixes our music too. But Ryan and I are producers, so because of that, we kind of like at a certain point we'll bring in Blake, Brooks, or Austin to. Well, I mean, we want them to write their own stuff, and there's a lot more of the newer stuff that's not going to be out this year that is going to have more of that fingerprint. We spent like a whole like weekend in the wintertime writing. Like we had like a little retreat, and we wrote like a bunch of stuff together in a room. But like generally speaking, it's usually that Ryan and I are writing a song, and at a certain point, we're like, this needs Blake, this needs Brooks, this needs Austin, you know what I mean? Or it's like, or maybe it needs me, you know, because a lot of the time, like I said, in the case of the song we were just working on, Ryan wrote most of the guitar parts on it, and I'm like, those parts rule. I'll just play those, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is there's a beautiful level of admiration and respect in this band for each other and the autonomy of the songs. There's always room to try an idea. But generally speaking, if we can make it better, we will either vocalize it as, oh, hey, you should make this part better, or come up with something else, or I want to make that part better. Let me try something. But we're always acting in service of the song. So, I mean, literally, like there's a track on our new EP our debut EP that's coming out later this year that we forgot about until the end of it. But like on one song, I recorded the bass because Brooks just wasn't there, and I just wanted to record a reference bass part for him. And he listened to it, he's like, oh, this part's good. Let's just leave it like that. You know, it's like it's like literally I'll play it like
What more can I add to this? And I think because
and to be fair, you could, but you could also just do that live.
So one of my favorite things in the world, if not my favorite thing, is like crafting parts. I'm less of a spontaneous musician and artist, but I'm more of a calculated, because I also do like digital creation. I'm a video editor, so I like things being precise, and I like I just like things being controlled and presented in a very, because I mean, I appreciate like film and television and all these like visual art forms as well. Sorry. But like I'm very of the school of thought of Nolly from Periphery, where he is like a robot, dude. That guy will like control, if he could, he'd control every input, every strum, everything.
Yeah. For context, he's the bassist. If you know the band Periphery, he's the bassist and the producer.
Yeah, and he also plays. He can play. I don't know if it was Misha that they asked. It's like, who's the best guitarist in the band? They're like, Nolly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, but like his sensibilities are my sensibilities. And to go back into what you were saying, like to answer the question from my end of like, we all do a bunch of the same thing, but like it makes it a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more, how would I put this? I guess, help me, you're my articulator. Ian's a wordsmith.
I feel like he's saying
like human AI.
It makes it a lot more hands-on, but it also makes it a lot more freeing, because none of us are restricted to our role that we do live. Like the whole band, it's like I sent that list of like what our band members are and what we do, but like the band is the band. The only real hard, I would say the only real hard role is Ryan is the lead singer. Like he is the energy, he is the Chris Martin, the energy of like all of it is distilled in his performance. And he's just our star power guy. And he's an amazing songwriter, producer, and instrumentalist on top of that. But what's cool to me is that being said, the band would be extremely restricted and limiting. And that's what I think happens with a lot of bands if we were to just be relegated to our individual roles. What's cool is like while we play all those things live, when you see the band, like it's a 5-piece with like 2 keyboards, there's 2 guitarists, a bassist, the singer who sometimes plays piano, sometimes plays acoustic, sometimes plays electric, and the drummer who's like running tracks, or maybe he'll hop on keys. There's all those designated roles. But what makes the band so effortlessly free-flowing creatively is that all of us, regardless of instrument or role, is serving the end of the music. That's the point, is like basically like we can play whatever we want on the recordings so long as we're trying to help shape it to become, it's in service of the song. Like the high goal, the telos, if you will, is the song and what the song is trying to say. And if everything we're doing on the instrumental or composition level acts in service of that, then that's just what we do. There's no egos about it. It doesn't make sense. That would be limited. That would make the songs bad.
That's basically what I said, right?
So what I take away from this is, and I think that's what we said earlier about your sound, how you're indie, alternative, rock, pop, whatever. I think what makes it so much that way is because you guys can play just about every instrument. Then pretty much every album that you put out should be conceptually different. No album should ever be the same because you got 5 different ways of making that album, because you got 5 different people who could do 5 different things. So I think that's what makes you great. And what I think, before we played the song Infinite, the one thing I thought was interesting as I'm thinking about you and I'm thinking about how you did and the way your band is made up in terms of what you can do and how you can play it. You guys all individually remind me of a Dave Grohl. And what I mean by that is Dave Grohl went in there on the first Foo Fighters album. Hold on. Yeah. He went in there on the first Foo Fighters album. And if you know anything about the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl went into his basement and he did every single instrument himself and sang on it, and then put that demo out. And then that demo just went into fire and just blew up. And what I mean by that is, he can play every single instrument and he can do all these things. And you guys had that same ability. I'm not saying you guys are Dave Grohl. I'm saying that you guys had the ability to do like what Dave Grohl. I guarantee each one of you could go down into your basement and do all 5 instruments and then put it together just like he did, which I think is phenomenal. I think it speaks to the amount of talent that you have in that band and the directions, like you said, in which you can go.
Yeah. No, I think that's 100% true. And I think what's cool about that is I think if we all went down and we all individually did that, the results would be far different from like if we all went down and we all wrote our own version of the EP that we're about to put out in the next little bit, it would sound, all of them would sound completely different from one another.
Yeah.
It wouldn't sound complete. It wouldn't like there's a wholeness to the sound that we create when we're all together. And I can there's a track that we have that's coming out soon. And I kind of worked everything up from the with just programming the drums like he was saying. I wrote a bass part and all this kind of stuff. And it sounded cool. It sounded great. But until we got into a studio or whatever, and I had Brooks lay down his part, and then I had Ian put down his guitar solo in it, and Austin sat down and he played his drum parts that I wrote, but then he had to kind of go in and make his own because you can listen to a programmed drum all day, but it's not the same.
No,
and for sure.
Yeah, so it's really cool to know that all these, we can all kind of go in and do that. But I know for a fact at the end of the day, the result wouldn't be nearly as good.
And on that, to piggyback off that same point, what I do love is that he's right. Like without all of us doing it individually, or without all of us doing it together, like if we did it individually, it wouldn't sound whole. But what's neat is that when we come up with individual ideas and then bring them to the table, like even before it's brought to the other guys, there's generally this thing about us, which you said, like from album to album, like it should sound conceptually different. Dude, from song to song, it's like that. As you'll see with like the next 2 songs, that's our goal, is like the beautiful thing is, even when it's one idea presented by one guy to the other guys, and we kind of flesh out that idea, even if it's not complete yet, it still sounds like a band called Love. Like, it's like there's this like kind of meta thing now with us where it's like, we know what the band is, and that one illustrates to us that there's a distilled sound that we have arrived at. Number two, it highlights where the boundaries are now that we can push. It's like, okay, if now there is a sound that is somewhat distilled of what we are, how do we make it so that AI can't write? I'm not trying to make this an AI conversation. I'm saying, like, how, like for example's sake, how do we not make an AI generated a band called Love song? Because if you can do that, that means your songs are very formulaic. They're very a certain way. You know what I mean? And to your point though about like what Dave Grohl did with that first record, and about what I said earlier about the formation of the band, Colors Bloom was our first song. Ryan and I did that all ourselves. Like that whole song is just me and him. Those drums he recorded just at the studio I used to work at. He recorded them to a click track with no reference track, because he and I, the only band practice we had to write that song, because there was only two of us, was we had the song finished already. He had written on an acoustic, and so we got together in this little house, and I played bass and he played drums, and we knew what the structure of the song was. So we fleshed out the rhythm section as just me playing bass, him playing drums, and imagining the song. And then he tracked the drums like that, and then I built the guitar, bass, and production up from that, and then he recorded the vocals, and that's Colors Bloom. You know what I mean?
One thing to say, first of all, apologize if I kind of sort of interrupted you.
No, that's all I have to say.
To add to your Dave Grohl point, that's my personal favorite band, and the reason that I'm talking to you right now is because of the Foo Fighters. All things aside, like that band has shaped me as a human being, and
all of us, really. But yeah, especially
and I used to do the Dave Grohl thing, because I mean I grew up on, I love all the records, you know, and I grew up on the first record, and I used to do that. I had a camcorder, and I would track parts of like a bass amp and a guitar and drums to a click, and I would put them in like Sony Vegas, like an editing program,
and they sounded good. Like he taught himself to record that,
and that's how I cut my teeth. And now cut to this band, I use those sensibilities, and I use that influence to do that. And like we all get to bring something new to the table, and it's so much fun. Like I love the way that this band creates, and especially those two. Like I said at the beginning of this, maybe it was off the recording, but the way their brains work is like, I can't even begin to describe how these two's brains work. It's really inspiring to me, because I can take those gifts that I had that I've been given and that I've honed, and I can put it into what we do and create something unique and beautiful. And that's what I like. So.
And he's also, to his credit too, and this speaks into the greater point, he's also a great songwriter. Like I mean, we're working on solo music of his just for fun, but also like I mean, everyone in this band can bring songs to our band. You know what I mean? Like it's like the freedom is there. And so like what's neat about that is that even if he wrote the lyrics, I mean, Ryan and I write half the lyrics together. The song we're about to listen to, I wrote the chorus of it. But no matter whose song it is, Ryan is still singing it, and we're all still fleshing out the music together. So it's still us. Like it's still a band called Love. You know what I mean? And but yeah, to your point about like what Dave did, like he did exactly what we did. It was just two guys instead of one. But he had a proof of concept. Here's the record. Here's the parts. And then there was enough of a distilled real thing for other people to progressively become involved and be like, oh, this is mine now too. And that's essentially what our band did. And I think people really underestimate the power of really honing an intentional identity and vision prior to forming the band. I think it's good when you're a younger band and it's natural to just, let's get a bunch of guys in a room and jam and maybe we'll figure out a sound. You know what I mean? That's normal. We all have done that. Yeah. But there's a power in that's good that serves the tail end of the goal, to have a vision, to distill an idea with just like a couple of people first, maybe one person, and then build the whole continuity of that around that and invite the collaborative process in after that, because then it starts to become even more of what it already was. And maybe it's totally different by the end, but you have a unique starting place in that regard. And then you have a more realized aesthetic, visual thing that's potent that people will latch onto because it's potent. And it's not just, oh, that band sounds kind of cool. I guess they jammed all those songs, because you can kind of tell. You know what I mean? Like it's
absolutely
intentional and more deliberate. You feel that, you know what I mean? It's real. And that's how I feel about my favorite records, at least, you know, and my favorite bands. Yeah. But anyway, we can sorry, we're yapping a lot about
this. You can always tell us to show.
No, it's okay. And with all the yapping having been said, here's the next song. Infinite.
See, when I look at the stars sometimes, beyond this world's another, I've been told. An infinite space that allows us to call it home. Yeah, I'm home. What a time to be alive. Stay for a while and look up. See the infinite. We're so insignificant. Say what you will, but for now I am infinite. As I stare into the infinite, that it's a little too easy to fall in and out of line. But it's way too hard to wait your turn. If you don't mind, I'll be leaving here, 'cause there's more beyond this atmosphere. And I don't know how to face my fears and take my tears and sell my feelings short. I just want to feel alive. Stay for a while and look up. See the infinite. We're so insignificant. Say what you will, but for now I am infinite. I stare into the infinite. Don't you look back now, it was a long way up. Got a long way to go, but look how far we've come. Don't you look back now, it was a long way up. Got a long way to go, but look how far we've for a while and look up, see the infinite. We're so insignificant. Stay for a while and look up, see the infinite. We're so insignificant. Say what you will, but for now I am infinite. As I stare into the infinite, so stay for a while and look up, see the infinite. We're so insignificant. So say what you will, but for now I am infinite. As I stare into the infinite. What a time to be alive.
Again, very, very different from the first song. Like you said, very good. I like its airy. It's refreshing. It's got this really nice big sound. You know, you can hear the guitar, and it's very, very encompassing.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys, and I'll ask each one of you individually. So we'll start from left, and we'll work all the way to the right. So Ryan, other way.
Yeah.
There you go.
My left.
Sorry, I should have said my left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Texas left.
Texas left,
What
yeah.
time? I don't know. Eastern, Central, whatever. Let me ask you this, Ryan. If your band could open up for any other band, you know, who would it be?
Oh man, you know the answer. There's a bunch. There's a bunch,
several.
but there's one.
No, not several.
I'll say what I know. What you're thinking. I'm gonna go with a different answer.
Sure.
I'll
sure.
say.
Okay. Surprise me.
You know, we've been talking about them some today too, but I have been on a huge Foo Fighters kick recently, and I've always really enjoyed them. We've all collectively seen them together a few times, and Seen him with Taylor. Seen him with
Josh.
Glad
we did, because now he's not in the band anymore.
There's an energy that like Foo Fighters don't need an opener. Like they can bring the energy immediately. They don't need an opener. But if I could open for a band and just hang backstage with somebody, it probably would be Dave Grohl. Just like that dude that like I know he's done some stuff and he's kind of in some hot water right now.
But they all have.
Yeah, they all have.
All the bands.
Who hasn't?
They're rock stars.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I think Foo Fighters would be just a really cool experience.
It would also be different too, because we don't sound like
that.
But it'd be a cool mesh of energies.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Ian, before you go, for some reason, if you've ever watched a lot of Dave Grohl documentaries or anything about Dave Grohl, he always has the van. And he always has his kids in the van. And for some reason, I see you got 3 guys and hanging out with Dave Grohl in that same van going down the street. I'm already envisioning it. But
I hope you're speaking that into existence. I'm
trying. I'm working my best.
We're doing our best here.
I really want to do that. Before we're 40, it'll happen. Maybe after we're 40. It'd be cool if it happens after we're 40. Because then CJ will be like 10. I'll be like, this is that band I showed you when you were 1. Yeah. My daughter, I showed my daughter when she was like a year and a half years old. I showed her the Pretender music video, and I was like, this is really important. Like, you're old enough to see this. She's a year and a half years old. She loves music. So but the Pretender is just such a formative song for me. I'm so serious. Like, I mean, part of the reason I have embarked on this whole journey and made this my career at all is because that song like changed my brain chemistry when I was 14. Like, and I love everything before that. Me too. But that song in particular, it was like someone wrote what I felt. And that's so silly to say. I know for like a 8th grader going into 9th grade, like it's of course, you feel different. But no, I mean, I really felt that in a way. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Well, it's like I don't feel the same as other people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. But yeah, no, all that to say, to piggyback off this point, I would love to open for Foo Fighters as well.
What is your answer?
My answer is not going to be the one that we were both thinking. No, it's actually going to be another one we were talking about here in this one. I would even with the new lineup, I would love to open for Linkin Park because they mean so much to us, and we do something, and you'll especially see it reflected in the next song that we cover, because it's very different from the other two, especially even more different. The next song we're going to listen to is even more different than the two we just listened to are from each other. And that wasn't intentional for it to even remotely sound like Linkin Park, but we've gotten a lot of comments on the latter era Linkin Park sounding like an influence on our sound. And it very much is. And that wasn't even intentional. Like I said, we don't try to rip off anything or try to be like, oh, let's write a song like this. It's like we're just creating, and things just organically, naturally, like the muse tells us what the song is, so to speak. And I would want to open for them because in a lot of ways, I mean, they're so different from us. I'm not even going to begin to say, oh, we're very similar. But what we're doing is 2 versions of what I consider to be the same thing. Where I'm not saying we sound like them so much as I'm saying we are trying to create a band experience and a live experience that is simultaneously like multifaceted. It's not just you are watching banding really hard on this stage because they are band and that's what band does. And it's like, I don't care about that. I love to be in a band and I love playing guitar, but my goal in life was never play guitar forever, be band. It was more like I want to create something that I think matters and that is creating a resonant effect. I want to essentially what good directors are trying to do and the effect they're trying to do with a film they make and the feeling that you get when you walk out of that movie and it changed your life. I'm trying to do that with music. Like essentially, that's my goal. I don't care about like, oh, I want people to watch me shred because I can't shred. I can play enough to write my ideas on these songs. But Linkin Park does that. When I saw them on the 1,000 Suns World Tour, like I was 17 going on 18 years old. They were already my favorite band, but that was my favorite record. I think every record from the first 4, going from Hybrid Theory to Meteora to Minutes to Midnight to 1,000 Suns, and even with Reanimation in there being a huge part of what I'm talking about, my musical brain evolved with their evolution very early on, from my age like 10 to 17, 18. And that span of time really taught me when I saw them on that tour and they had like the Oppenheimer quote, like, because like there's an audio of Oppenheimer talking about, like it's at the beginning of 1,000 Suns during the Requiem and the Radiance. But when he says, we knew the world would not be the same, you know, a few people laughed, people cried, most people were silent. And then he says the thing about like the now I become death, and it's on the screen, and they had this amazing, just this beautiful like intro, and it's just these lights, and they're all playing floor toms, and they're really making this visual thing happen with the sound. And then they play like one of the openers from the record, and they go into Paper Cut, and it was like, oh my God. And it just the way it was all encompassing. And the way it was using the art, it wasn't just, hey, we're Linkin Park, let's play one step closer, because you know that, right? It was they were trying to make a statement with art. And you don't have to be super esoteric or high concept to do that. You can do stuff that's very universal. And I mean, Coldplay is numerically the biggest band in the world. And whether you like them or not, because they do exactly that. They present universal concepts in a very digestible way, and they create a live experience that does that. Linkin Park to me does that. So my dream would be to be open for them. Like I would love to just have those two worlds, the A Band Called Love universe that we're creating right now, and Linkin Park exist in the same live environment at least once. And it'll happen. I want it to happen soon.
You got to speak it into existence.
Before you go, Brooks, I already know, Brooks, you're going to say Foo Fighters. I already know. So, and the reason why I said that is I'm going to give you a different question, because I want to challenge you a little bit. We already know you're going to say Foo Fighters. So what I want to ask you is, as big of a Foo Fighter fan as you are, and believe me, nobody, if you're tattooing it, you like it. I get it. So my thing for you is, I will tell you right now, my favorite song by Foo Fighters is because, and the reason why I like it so much because it's very different from everything else that they do, is Skin and Bones.
Skin and Bones. Yeah, a friend of mine, their favorite song was Skin and Bones as well. That's crazy that you said that, because
it has to be. But you know why though? Because number one, Dave goes completely against everything he's ever done, and he goes with the orchestra, and it's very stripped down, and it's just very. I mean, I'd probably put Stacked Actors probably right behind that.
That's a great song too. Yeah.
But again, I like Skin and Bones because it's different. And what is your favorite and why?
My favorite Foo Fighters song is what you asked? So,
I think I know the answer.
You don't actually. You do? Because I really thought about it. So, first of all, what you said about Skin and Bones is how I felt about Shame Shame when it came out. It's like it's got the ding, 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 ding. I thought it was brilliant when it came out, and I was like, oh my God, yes, they're still cool and they're still doing fun things. My personal favorite song by the Foo Fighters is A320 off of the Godzilla soundtrack, because that was one of Dave's favorite songs that he has ever written, allegedly, from my own research. I could be wrong. A320 is so beautiful. It's slow. It's melancholic. It has that huge orchestra like push at the end. It's got the grungy instrumental. It's got that huge. It's got everything that makes a Foo Fighters song brilliant. And like not a lot of people know about it. And you can't really stream it because of the really tight copyright laws from that soundtrack. Because that soundtrack also features, it has the Puff Daddy Jimmy Page thing on it, which whatever. But it also has it has Ben Folds, it has Silverchair, it has the Rage Against the Machine on it. It has a lot of these artists that I love, but for the longest time, in one of the last interviews I did with John Stanek, shout out to Johnny Radio, love him. I said it was Learn to Fly, because Learn to Fly is one of my favorite songs because it got me into music, and that was the first song I heard by the band, and it's hard to separate that attachment to it. But if I'm being objective, I'm like, A320 is, in my opinion, their most beautiful song, and it's like Dave. He has that fear of flying, or he has expressed fears of flying in the past. Learn to Fly is funny enough. Also, it's really just about flying, and the A320 is the name of a jet, and he's like, I look out and on the ground, really don't believe it. Gravity could pull me from this height and stuff like that. It's like he's like looking down on all.
That's an allegory for his life.
Looking down on all these people, and it's musically beautiful. It is structurally beautiful. And I love it. That's my favorite. And it's hard to listen to. You can look it up on YouTube. That's the best place to find it. But if I were to answer what is my favorite Foo Fighters song, that one is just the end all be all.
That's a good answer.
And I hope and pray to God, in a perfect world, this would make its way to Dave's ears, and he'd be like, "Oh, somebody else likes that song as much as I do."
Ryan,
You mean it's not Everlong?
Right. Hey, by the way, though, Everlong really is a
great song.
And I won't keep you too long because I know we have to do
No,
that.
you're good. Yeah.
Just to list off a few of my favorite, to answer that question as well. Like I have surface level answers of bands that sonically kind of sound like us that are big and small.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters, Weezer, the Chili Peppers, Jimmy Eat World, the 1975, but also some smaller acts. Like I would love to open for the National. I'd love to open for the National, Future Islands, Kira Bonito, Paramore.
Nothing But Thieves. Nothing But Thieves.
Right. But my top three that like what Ian was saying that kind of like they share our same ideas. Like we're doing music and it's not just band doing band, it's music and. I would love to open for Coldplay. I'd love to open for Linkin Park, and I'd love to open for Radiohead. Those are my top, because all three of those bands, like
Radiohead, be so sick.
All three of those bands.
Radiohead would be dope. That would be sick.
They share our
DNA.
Their DNA is our DNA, and a lot of
we're
British.
I will tell you, if you're opening up for Weezer, I've been to many of Weezer concerts, and I love that band. That's another band that truthfully really does not need an opener. When I went and saw Weezer, the lights went dark, and the next thing you see is a spotlight, not on the stage, but in front of the stage, in between the gate and the stage, the gap where the security guards are.
Rivers.
Weezer, and they're all in barbershop coats and the barbershop hats. And they're doing Buddy Holly, all acoustic.
That's what I love about music. That's smart. That's a thing you'll remember.
It is. And the smart part about it is they did it all with no instrumentation, just them singing, and then the spotlight goes black. And then I'd say probably about 3 or 4 minutes later, they come out and they do their first song, and they closed it. The encore, the very last song was Buddy Holly in full instrumentation, and that's how. And he does "Island in the Sun." He does "Island in the Sun" in a boat, and the boat's going throughout the crowd. And I was like,
"That's how you do a show." Yeah, like they're doing it right. I love Weezer.
Can we go see the Weezer movie together? I'll fly to
You don't hear about that before we talk about the song? Just one little thing. The Weezer movie got announced, and the reason I heard it did is because I saw an article that I said to Brooks, we were crying laughing because it's going to be a weird biopic like the Weird Al one, so it's not like literally like a documentary.
Yeah.
So the headline read, and I quote, Keanu Reeves cast as the villain in the upcoming Weezer movie. And I was like, what? I was like, who was cast as the what in the what movie?
And I think we all agree. Can we all agree that Weezer is very, very underrated?
Yes, they always will be. Yes, and it's because Brooks and I talk about this all the time because they're one of those bands. Like I love Weezer, I love Foo Fighters, I love a band. There's a lot of bands like that where they have this kind of weird quality of like they have timeless hits, timeless records that will make me cry, and then a lot of just what I consider to be just duds, just kind of mid records that are just okay. But like. Not saying they're bad, just like I could give or take them, you know what I mean, or take or leave them. But what's funny is I think the reasons that people like Weezer are the reasons that they're as massive as they are not what make them a great band. It's actually like that show element, that is a thing, but I think a lot of people know their hits, and that's part of what has sustained them. But like what they do and the things they're saying, and like whether it be from the earlier, more specific kind of emo lyrics or kind of the statements they're trying to make from record to record, and even when they kind of like go a little left field, what they do artistically is why I think they are important and why they deserve to be as big as they are. But I agree with you. Like, I think they are underrated. I don't care that they play like stadiums with Green Day and Fall Out Boy. In my opinion, I'm like, people don't. It's like I'm not trying to sound like overly intellectual about Weezer, but I'm trying to say like I feel like people don't understand what Weezer is doing. You know what I mean? Like,
I read an article that Weezer did not too long ago, and they purposely put dud songs on their records on purpose.
That is that's a very Rivers thing to do.
Yeah, it's
no, they do it. And he gave a long, drawn out reason why, but they actually purposely. That's actually done on purpose. Not that they're actually just. It's interesting.
I love it. Weird. They're braver than most of us. In a lot of ways. I'll go on record and say it. I love Pinkerton and Blue Album, but two of my favorite records by them that might be my two are Make Believe and Maladroit. I'll own that. I think those records are awesome. Those are amazing, timeless songs. I think if you don't listen to all of Make Believe front to back and not have an ounce of fun, or if you don't find yourself giggling, or if you don't find yourself actually kind of being a bit wistful, I don't think you have a soul.
That's
like it's
so
like
true.
it's there's
That's so
like
true.
like it's like that record's awesome, and people are just like, oh yeah, the Beverly Hills album, but they don't know the songs on it, and I'm just like, dude, this album's awesome.
And people hate on Beverly Hills. I'm like, it's a great.
That's a great song.
Great song.
There are some bands that just don't ever get the love, and I think we're just one of them. And I'm still holding out hope for those guys. But Ryan, let me ask you this: obviously, we got Dots on a Spinning Sphere queued up. Can you just give us a little bit of what went in, or what the song is about, and how that song came about, and then we're going to cue it up.
Yeah. I'll start with kind of topically what it's about. I kind of wrote this song in a period of time, and I kind of still feel this way to a degree, I guess. But I wrote this song, and it kind of Ian sent me this instrumental, and it kind of just forced it was really easy to write the lyrics. It just kind of pulled it out of me. Mm-hmm. So Ian wrote the instrumental for this, and
we kind of just say like, just I don't enjoy like that. On that note, we almost weren't sure. This was one of those examples where the song is so left field artistically for us, where I sent it to him because I was like, is this anything? Like, could we use this? Because it's so different from what we normally do. And it's more like a drum and bass song than anything. But I liked what it was doing. Mm-hmm. So I sent it to him, and he immediately was like, oh, he's like, yeah, no, we're using this. Like, and now we open our shows with it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, it was immediate. I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. I don't know. I wrote this. I've got this. I don't know. I wrote it kind of in a. It's mostly about not being able to, feeling like you're kind of shouting into the void artistically. Like you're putting out music, and you've put out, like I've been doing this. I've done music, and I've been in a band since I was like 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, at what point is this worth my time? Is it like, you know, I feel like I'm kind of shouting into a void sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, there's a lyric at the end. It's just kind of like, desperate, hear my voice, like far beyond the void. And that's kind of the, you know, the thesis statement of the song. I think it's just like
crying out,
like, you know, like
wanting people to feel.
Like really, like I feel this song makes me feel something. I want you to feel this too, like desperately. Like and that's the way I feel about all of our music. Like otherwise I wouldn't be writing. But it's that's kind of the gist of the idea of the song. But instrumentally, Ian sat down one day and was just like, I'm a cook, and he sent me this very intense D&B rock like anthem kind of thing, and it inspired me immediately. Like, and I'm super excited. We made some really cool choices with the vocals here. Mm-hmm. There's a cool vocoder that we put on my vocals. That's there's just stacks of layers of harmonies essentially. Yeah. I don't even remember how many.
I can actually speak to that for a second too on that note. Like it's funny that he brings that up, because one of the things I like about this song is like, so he wrote all the lyrics. So this was one I did not contribute to lyrically at all, and I love that because of it. But he really wanted it to hit, and because of the kind of inherently electronic nature of the song, mm-hmm. like where it like kind of underutilizes guitars more as a texture, which is a lot of our music, but like especially on this song, he wanted these lyrics to really hit. And I love personally, and we all do, songs that are like. There's a big trend that's happened pretty much since Imogen Heap released Hide and Seek in 05, 06, whenever that was, where there's these really cool pop songs, even by like metal bands now that do this, where they'll do a song that's just vocoders. Like there's no instruments, no nothing. It's just their voice, but like stacks and stacks of just these brutal vocoders doing the chord progression underneath it. So it's like, you know, you could say Imogen Heap's Hide and Seek, like the, ooh, what you say? Not the Rihanna one, but the, you know, where it's just like literally.
Yeah.
But there's that, there's Sleep Tokens, what's it called? That from that first record, or the second record. It's Fall For Me. Yeah. And then Bon Iver's Creeks. Where it's just vocoders, and it makes you just so cry. Well, I love that those songs did that with like just huge, thick stacks of vocals with nothing, and it makes you feel that way. And I was like, instead of approaching this convention, I was thinking as a producer more than as a songwriter, more than as a guitarist or as an instrumentalist. I was thinking with this song, because it was just so, what Ryan wrote for it was so desperate. Like, it wanted it to say, especially like the second verse lyric. I love that where you write, float back and forth, my lungs are cold, but I'll sing before I breathe. Yeah. I mean, like, literally meaning like I need to do this more than life, more than breathing.
Yeah.
And it's just so yearning that I was like, to really sell this, it can't just be like, okay, here's the one vocal in the verse, and then a harmony comes in, and then the chorus happens, and I was like, what if the whole song with this intense instrumental uses the same principle as those vocoder only songs, where it's just stacks of vocals, but the whole song on top of this insane instrumental. And we did that. We weren't sure if it would be too much or not, but we heard it, we were like, whoa. And it just sounded like, and I mean, I literally, like, me and Corey Batista, we literally recorded, like, I mean, layers of harmonies, like, exactly, like from the beginning, without vocoders, there's stacks of harmonies. And then on top of that, every one is sent to a different, I'm getting nerdy about production now, but they're sent to a different bus that has vocoder, that I used Isotope Vocal Synth on it and just really tweaked it until it sounded like equally as human as it did robot. And a lot of that was subliminal programming from like 1,000 Suns by Linkin Park and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
But so the idea of this song is not only what everything Ryan was talking about, but it's like almost like you're like trying to break through this like digital wall of feeling like, I feel so trapped behind this thing. Is what I'm doing even worth it if no one is resonating with it? And it's like trying like so hard to shout through like the signal. So when we came up with it, so I make the artwork for all our music too. So all the artwork you've seen so far is like mine. So I wanted, if it was a sphere, I was like, oh, what if I made it like a sound wave where it's like literally like it looks like a voice trying to speak. My vision in the future is when we play this live, I really want to have that on a screen, but I want it to be moving like with his voice. You know what I mean? Like and warbling, like with the like. But yeah, so that's the nature of what this song is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, all right. But that having been said, here's Dots on the Spinning Pier.
Gravity is pulling on my heart, far beyond the mind. Fall apart, fall apart. Hold the dreamer closer to the sun, far beyond the mind. Fall apart, fall apart. Simulate me over zealous noise. Back and forth, my lungs are cold, but I see before I breathe. I know that someone hears my voice in this darkness, black and void. Bright and burning, uncontrolled. Some search the seven seas. I'm searching for life outside this world, where the wolves rule boys and girls. Simulate you over sadness noise. Every existence and joy. This listen to my voice. I'll be simulate me over hear my voice. Listen to my voice. I'll be
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Pull up that next slide, please.
Yep, I got you. Give me just 1 second here, my friend. All right.
So I know you guys are going to be performing on June 27th, correct? Back at Mo's Record Shop.
Yeah, we just announced that show today too. That's part of why my apologies for taking so long to get everything to y'all. I wanted to make sure we had that info before this show because I wanted it to be. But we were trying to book the opening band on the lineup, so I had to wait to get it announced. But we got it announced this morning. It's announced by the shop too. Mm-hmm. I'm excited that we get another DIY show because we just played there, and we typically try not to like overplay. Like I said, we've been a band for a few years, but we've only played 15 shows at all. So we try to not play the same venue back to back. But Mo's is just awesome. Yeah. Mo, the guy who owns it, he rules. Our friend Chelsea books there. Like, just what they're doing is so unique. Like Logan can speak into it because he was there at that show. But like, it's just such a unique, cool environment, and our crowd loves it there. And the people in Gainesville are so cool. So we were just like, oh, we should do that. And Agi is one of my personal favorite bands, but I also got a job last year playing guitar for them on this tour. I've been listening to them for way longer than I've known them. But so we're excited to be opening for them. We've technically opened for them once before, but it was a secret show like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And so this is cool that we actually get to advertise this one. Yeah. But yeah. And
I also know, so you mentioned earlier that you have an EP that's getting ready to come out, I believe in summer of 2025, correct?
Correct. It is, we have a feature on, I won't say who or what, but we have a feature on a friend's band of ours that's coming out, and they're a much bigger band than we are, so it's going to be good for us before that. But it's like it's a song featuring a band called Love, and they just met with their label yesterday, and their label's a pretty good sized label. Like their label has like bands like Drowning Pool and bands like that. So like they're basically like they told us that their timeline was sometime in August for that single release, which means that our EP and singles by default are being pushed back because we were trying to release after that comes out, because of the audience that it'll hopefully bring to us via Spotify. Right. So it's still technically summer, but we're looking at an August to September-ish release of the couple of singles we have and the EP. But we haven't formally announced the title or anything yet, so that's all I can say. But it is this year for real.
Yeah, it's happening.
And it's an EP we've been sitting on for a while, and a lot of other recordings we have that will form 2 or 3 more EPs that will be coming following that EP as well. We've got, roughly 2 or 3 albums worth of music.
Just sit down and wait for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're trying to be strategic. We don't want to if we just drop it and no one cares, then that's all on us, Yeah. So.
Yeah, it really is. When it comes to releasing music, it is a formula that you have to follow. Yeah. That's what that Springboard Music Festival that they just went out here in Texas. That's what they were talking about. Is how do you make money at your music? And it is. It's all about how you formulate it. It's about when things drop, how you drop it, how you formulate the songs on your tracks, concerts, the whole. It's a science, right? So
and it's also how you promote it. And thank you. I appreciate that. It's also how you promote it after it's out. Because I feel like a lot of bands will get excited that they have masters, and then they're just kind of like, all right, let's drop it. And then they release it on Bandcamp, and then they upload it to streaming services. And then it's like, I feel bad for them because I want them to, you know, like I want them to get the most right out of it if they're trying to make it as a career. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then also I think a lot of bands that are younger and independent, and I've been there too. I've done the exact same thing where it's like they put it out and they put all this hype into it and all this promotion, and then once it's out, they just kind of expect everyone to listen to it. But I think what it takes is a campaign and a team of people. Mm-hmm. And a mindset of like, once it's out, you really got to push it. Yeah. So that's kind of why we're like waiting on this release of this single featuring us, because we know it'll give us an influx of like
the biggest splash we can make immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll give us an influx of monthly listeners. And then we want to make the biggest splash we can. We've got a publicist who's awesome that we trust, who's worked with a bunch of our friends in bigger bands. He's in California, and he's worked with great bands. He's worked with like All American Rejects, Avenged Sevenfold, and everything in between. And
those are the big names.
Yeah, he's a good guy. His name's Mike Cubillos from Earshot Media. Shout out, Mike. Great pub. But our goal with him is like, I don't even care. We don't care about. We don't have delusions of like blowing up overnight. We just want to make a big splash. We're trying to do an awareness campaign, do our own ads like we did with Love and Infinite, and our cool little videos that we make, and really capitalize on the fact that we're gonna have a feature that'll be on like Sirius Radio and stuff like that on our friends band, and then let that algorithm of Spotify do its job. And then like drop the singles afterward and let people who otherwise would not know about us discover that via that. Yeah. And really just rely on everything but the shows. That way the shows can be a fun avenue to play and showcase the music and kind of refine the live performance. And really just let the internet do its thing. But
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's like not just like cast it to the wind. You want your baby to be like as prepared as they can before they go to college, so to speak, before they go into the world, instead of just being like, okay, go. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what my dad did. Go, get out of the house.
Go. Hey, it worked out for you.
That lasted 2 semesters, and then the Navy came calling at 4:30. Yeah, Hot McLovin went. But anyway, damn parents, I hope you're watching. Mom and Dad, I hope you're watching. Listen to what he said. You got your prepared.
That's gonna be talking about my dad in the future.
Amazing.
Hey guys, 70s baby. Our parents didn't give a damn. They just
sent y'all out.
It's like a bird. When a bird kicks its baby out the nest, if it flies, great. If it thuds on the ground, well, you know what?
Hey, dude. Hey, look, you got the last laugh. You're on this podcast now. Like, who's the real winner?
That's right.
Yeah. Who's laughing? Yeah.
Also,
take that, Dad.
Exactly.
Mr. McLovin, that you have a phenomenal beard. It is.
It's fantastic. We've all been thinking it.
It's like that is you've done that is
you are doing what I wish I could do.
Yeah, same, dude.
Yeah. Hey, look. Logan ain't seen a facial hair since he was born, okay?
I say that's where the contrast comes in here.
I love that y'all dig on each other the same way we do. It's like every shot you can take, it's like if you see it, go for it.
It's awesome.
If you like Brooks and I talk about this, like if you don't take the cheap shots like that, they're not your real friends.
You got to.
Yeah.
Logan is the one that made me have a thick epidermis. And yes, he said, Jay, I'm going to give you a thick epidermis when this is all done. I actually had to go Google what the hell epidermis was.
That's the college education right
there. That's something I would say.
So listen, guys, I know you guys got your EP coming out over the summer. I hope, after a couple of months, after it's been released out there for the world to hear, that you will come back on the show and have another conversation with me and my boy Logan.
Anytime. We'll bring the other guys too. This has been a really, I can't stress enough. I wasn't sure what to expect. When I got the message from Logan about it, I was like, oh, that's really cool. It seems legit. But we've done a few interviews now where it's like the formats are always very different. This is awesome what y'all are doing, because this is a hangout. We're just chilling, and we're answering questions earnestly. It doesn't feel like we're being put on a spot, which is cool. You know what I mean? It's like this. I like this. So yeah, have us back anytime, please.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope we do this show with y'all 10 years from now when we're playing Coachella. You know what I mean?
There we go. Mark it down right here.
You do Coachella, I'll bring the whiskey. I'll make sure it gets blessed by a priest first, and then we'll
it will be set.
Hey, that's awesome.
Well, hey, guys, before we get out of here, go ahead and let the fans at home know where they can find your music, where they can follow you on socials, and all the updates you got.
Yeah. So our band is literally called A Band Called Love. It is one word. And so we are fortunate enough that we chose that name because it is not taken anywhere. So We are literally at exactly the same at A Band Called Love on everything, specifically Instagram. Don't really use Twitter anymore a ton, just because it's just kind of dying for music. So it's like we're on Blue Sky. Instagram is our definitely main place. But if you're looking for us on music outlets, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. We're on literally everything you can think of. Our distributor has us on everything. So, but yeah, no, I'd say the big places to find us. If you use Facebook, our posts from Instagram are on Facebook, but we don't really use Facebook anymore. So Instagram would be the place to find us and connect with us ahead of time about shows and things like that. And if you follow us right now, I will respond to you personally, and I will give you some cool details about stuff that is coming out, or let you get a sneak peek at some of the music. Sure. So feel free, like
off camera, I'd love to send you all the EP and get your thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
we'll discuss that ahead of time.
Yeah, would love to get your thoughts on the EP.
Yeah, so. Especially because like we want to do a real awareness campaign for it. So right now we are actively trying to send the EP to specific people way ahead of its announcement, so that they're aware of it, and they're like, as soon as we announce it, if you feel inclined to do so, I'm not soliciting this, but if they're like, I've heard this, this is going to change the game for what bands are. It's kind of like the thing. And not trying to be pompous about our music, but I have a good feeling about this release. It's a good collection of
No, be honest about your music, because I mean, if you believe in it, you believe in it. And I think Logan, he's already, we all like this. I mean, there's nothing wrong, man. Hey, do your thing, killer.
Yeah. We know that it's an EP that is most bands, at least in this modern age. It's not that we're reinventing the wheel, and it's not that we are innovating per se, but no band that is a young band doing things that we're doing right now is going to have released an EP like this year. There's just not. It's like the whole point of it was make a perfect, for lack of a better way of putting it, like a charcuterie board of what we sound like, but still being good songs. And I'm very pleased to say that this is the first band I've ever been in where the art people like it, the music people like it, but the most normie white girls like it. My mom likes it. Like, it's like my mom loves our music. And she heard this EP and she's like, my mom listens to our EP on the private streaming link we have, and she's like, Ian, I listen to this every day. And she's like, sometimes I forget. Like, she's like, I don't mean this in a bad way. She's like, but I forget this is your band. I love this. Yeah. Like, it's like this is like real music to me. And I'm like, that's the best compliment you could give me. Like, honestly, because like I want the world to love this, because we're not making music for music people. Like, we're just making music for people and for us. You know what I mean? And I think that's all you can do, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, of course. There's no better job to have in this world than a job that you have a love and a passion for. And if you love your music and you're passionate about your music, that's the best job you can have.
Yeah,
regardless of anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so, hey, well, guys, one more time, we're about a month away, a little bit more than that, from your next show, Mo's Record Shop in Gainesville. Ian, you have my number. Hit me up. We'll go get some lunch. Go get a drink beforehand.
Dude, no, seriously, be there at that show. Like, we'll hang. That would be so nice. That'd be great. And seriously, anyone who's in the North Georgia area or the Metro Atlanta scene, if you're watching this or you hear this, please come to this show. The band Agi is amazing. I'm not biased. They're like they were one of all of our favorite bands. The fact that we're opening for them at such a small venue is insane. Yeah, and the fact that I'm playing guitar on tour with them for the next month is insane. But but besides that, this is our last like DIY show. We're playing Mo's twice in a row. So after this show, we will not be playing at Mo's Record Shop anytime soon. This is your last chance to see us play in a really small room for a long time, because we'll do it again, but just not anytime in the near future.
Right.
Like, so just you want to be at this show.
That's kind of surreal. You just said that. It's like I knew that, but like hearing it with my own ears coming out of your mouth, it's like, oh my god.
Like, the last time was the first time, and now we can't just keep doing that every time.
Yeah, like wow.
We're only doing this because we're playing with Agi.
The reality of that is like beautifully scary.
Yeah, exactly. My hope is that the next time we play a shop like that or a DIY spot like that, is that we're just doing it and it's like a 24-hour secret show announcement, and it's like people, just because the demand will be like people will be packed to get into that thing, because we're not going to do a small DIY spot like this until probably the third EP is out, maybe. You know what I mean? Okay. So yeah, and we're sitting on it. It's not like we have to make it. We have like a bunch of EPs in the chamber. but yeah, no. So be at this show is the point. Do not.
Hey, you heard the man right there. Be at the show. Be at the show on Friday, June 27th. Well, hey, Ryan, Ian, Brooks, we thank you guys so much for putting on the show today on the Whiskey Hour. Talk about your band, talk about influences and just a few selections of the songs we heard here today. Of course, we're all pumped and excited for the debut EP coming out later this summer, and we can't wait for that to come out and talk about it here. Have you guys back on the show and discuss all that. For Jay McLovin, my co-host today, man, great work as always. I've been your host, producer Logan Landers. Guys, once again, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy A Band Called Love, go follow them on all their social media. Go follow us on our social medias at ESEN Network on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, anywhere else you can find it. And until next time, enjoy your weekends, everyone. We'll see you on another